Hi folks, I guess this is what you get for doing an astrology video just after you jump out of the shower, and it is a warm and beautiful day here in Southern California. My hair, I'm assuming, will dry gradually as I do the video, and even if it doesn't, you're just gonna have to put up with it. We had the new moon in Pisces earlier today, about 4 or 5 hours today. I'll put the exact date. Well, the date is February the 23rd Pacific time in the morning around 7:30 a.m. Might be 7:33 or something along those lines, but I will put, sorry, that there was a bee. I am underneath a avocado tree and there are little blossoms, and I'm not going to say it's a feeding frenzy because it's not really a feeding frenzy, but there are a couple of bees around, so you might see that happen again. Anyway, so just surprised me, it just kind of dropped on my piece of paper here and then decided to kind of make a beeline for my face for a second there. I guess I smell nice after my shower. Confused the poor thing. Okay, so new moon in Pisces a few hours ago, 7:33 a.m. or so Pacific time. I don't know if I've got the time right, but it will be there on the video once I'm done processing it in a few minutes after I upload it. It's an interesting new moon in the sign of Pisces, and yesterday I did a compass video that will be a useful addendum to this particular video. First and foremost, the new moon has occurred, and so gradually more and more energy will return to us, and this energy will continue to peak until we have the full moon in the sign of Virgo on March the 7th or March the 8th, unless I'm mistaken, 14 days from today. And an influx of energy is what we need. Those of you who've been watching my videos for a while and keep this part brief know that before the new moon, the energy flattens and deadens. And once the new moon starts up, our own energy returns to start to take care of and tackle certain things. And it is this theme of tackling that is so important to us, because as I explained in my compass video yesterday, the energy is very, very confusing. On the one hand, we have this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, the same sign where the new moon occurred, and the new moon and Mercury retrograde are very, very close to each other, cannot be ignored. So it's a new moon that is absolutely affected and colored by, tinged, I'm not even going to use the word tinged, it's colored by this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. It's a Mercury retrograde new moon. Until the new moon, since February 17th, things may be building that seem surprising and confusing and murky and Mercury retrograde. Like, where the hell is this coming from, and why is this coming to me and upon us so suddenly? Is everyone feeling the energy this way? No. Part of the reason for the suddenness of the energy is that eclipse anniversaries, February the 25th, which is the 2 months after the December 25th solar eclipse, as I've said in my past couple of videos, the week before and week after, which is where we are right now, is an important milestone for that eclipse. And eclipses often bring unexpected things. Is this eclipse anniversary going to bring unexpected things for every single person? No. But I find that sometimes some people are affected by a certain eclipse cycle around December the 25th when it happens. Some people are affected by it around February the 25th in a significant way when it happens. Some people will be affected by it around May the 4th, and some people will be affected by it around July the 4th when the corresponding lunar eclipse happens in Capricorn. So these weeks are important, and this new moon makes an important aspect to the nodes, to the eclipse points, so to speak. I'm going to use that term. Astrology experts can please forgive me for using that term, because I don't want to go into explaining the nodes of the moon and their relationship with the eclipses right now. So not only is February 25th an important date from an eclipse perspective, it's especially exaggerated. So this time period before this new moon has brought, for some people at least, but a lot of us perhaps, a certain amount of unsettledness, whether this unsettledness has been extreme or just somewhere in the back of our minds. And it has created, up until today, up until the new moon, a sense of bewilderment, certainly, typical of Mercury retrograde, and for those people who are dealing with events that have felt out of the blue or sudden or unexpected reversals, then there's that you've got to deal with as well. And you're kind of in this Tarot Two of Swords situation where you're just like, I don't know what to do. Can I untangle these swords, and who do I fight, and what action do I take? Well, this new moon will start to force a certain amount of action, but the important thing to note is that Mercury doesn't go direct till March the 10th. And when it goes direct on March the 10th, Mercury, as it goes retrograde, is going to move back into the sign of Aquarius because it's going backwards on March the 3rd. On March the 10th, it'll go direct, and on March the 16th, it'll move back into Pisces. So really, clarity for wherever Mercury is in retrograde currently is not going to occur until the second half of March and really even into April. Mercury does not clear Pisces, it does not leave Pisces till, I thought I had the date here, till April the 11th, I believe. Is that true? Yeah, that's probably true, till April the 11th. So we've got the second half of March and even April in which we're going to be dealing with Pisces things. And then Mars, the planet of action, arrives in Pisces on May the 11th and is going to be there till June the 28th. So we've got this new moon in Pisces, we've got Mercury retrograde in Pisces, we've got Mercury coming back in Pisces once he is direct. I'll use the he pronoun for Mercury for now. Once he is direct on March the 10th, March the 16th, we have Mercury leaving on April the 11th. Then we have Mars coming in here on May the 11th and then leaving on June the 28th. So this Pisces part of our chart remains, there's more that is developing. There's more that is developing. And keep in mind that there's some sort of conversation here between the Pisces part of the chart and the Capricorn part of the chart. The other thing is that with this new moon in Pisces, and a lot of what I'm saying will be really helpful to you if you know and understand where the signs of Pisces, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are in your chart. The Mercury retrograde, as I said, goes back into Aquarius and then direct again and back into Pisces. So there's some sort of conversation happening between the Pisces part of your chart and the Aquarius part of your chart. Aquarius season, for lack of a better way of describing it, was the end of January to the end of February. The sun entered Pisces and left Aquarius about 2-3 days ago. So some of the events that we've been dealing with since the beginning of the year have some sort of a correlation, even if they seem independent for some reason, with this Mercury retrograde cycle. There is a narrative at work, okay? For those of you who do not know your chart, and for those of you who want me to summarize where we're at based on everything that I've thrown at you so far, here's what I'm going to say. The last week and a half may have brought, for some people, for everyone, a sense of unsettledness. For some people, truly unsettling news and surprising news. Confusing. We have not had either the energy or the information or the clarity with regard to what it is that we can do about it. And with this new moon that has occurred a few hours ago, some of that clarity and some of that action will return. The action will still continue to have a reflective Mercury retrograde, crossed wires, miscommunication, confusing quality, at least till around March the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. There is some correlation between what is unfolding and wherever to end, and it's the energies for some people may be coming out of the blue, but it's not as if a narrative has not been building since January. And both the January eclipse on the 10th and the February 8th full moon could have played some sort of a role in all of this. Is it time to take action? It is, but until, and you will have the energy to deal with it, but there's still, with Mercury retrograde, the word I've started to use, and I'll stand by it, is investigate. There's still an investigative energy to the action that needs to be taken, a reflection, a slight holding back. The action may be that you ask questions. The action may be that you start to test the waters. The action may be that you start to understand what is going on around you to get clarity. The action may at times mean that you are taking a stand on things or expressing yourself. There's a need for clarity. You're seeking clarity while things are still muddy and murky. And if they're muddy and murky for you, they're muddy and murky for everybody. Everyone is seeking some sort of clarity, and everyone is confusing everybody in some strange way. And this energy does not start to clear or become better till after March the 10th. Give it a few days, March the 13th, 14th, and especially after the 16th. And whatever it is that this new moon is bringing us, the first half of this year is dominated by this Capricorn energy and this Pisces energy. And the second half of the year is dominated by the changing signs of the eclipses and by Mars being in Aries for 6 months. Mars is typically in the sign for 45 days. Mars is going to be in the sign of Aries for 6 months, and that cannot be ignored, and we will deal with that at a later time. I'm just going to put that out there. 2020 has a sense of momentum and pulling us out of the seas that we have been in for the past 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. Since December 2017, practically, 2018, 2019, 2020 will start to pull us out into a new set of waters. And January and part of February already has propelled us forward. And then April and part of May, the end of March, April especially, and early part of May will continue to move us forward a certain amount. But there is this forward, deal with what this forward means, then forward, then deal with what this forward means, then forward, and deal with what this forward means to it. Also, eclipses bring sudden, unexpected, fated, necessary changes, and even if the changes are desired, even if they are wished for, it is a rare individual that is able to chuck it all and embrace change, even if it is desired. There's typically, let's say you get a job or a situation that allows you to move towards a career that you really wanted. But if this comes with a layoff, or it comes with you needing to leave or feeling like you're being pushed out, something murky like that, which is really the universe at work in some ways, even if the direction you're going to is exciting and desired, some part of us always wants to hold, it's just like, there's a grief. There's a letting go, which is always hard. Eclipses, therefore, even when they bring desired changes, change is always inconvenient in many respects. So all of that is somehow at work. And this new moon is finally, at least in the sign of Pisces. And remember, I've said in my previous videos, we are talking about a correlation to activities that have been going on since the last quarter of 2015 and 2016, some sort of a crisis created then. And again, Mercury was retrograde in Pisces last year in March and April. So there's some sort of, the pot is brewing again. I have to believe that this time around it is trying to seek greater clarity and resolution. So there's a need to enter the fray and start to make sense of things and start to get some clarity. This new moon that happened a few hours ago is the first domino. But the dominoes are going to keep dropping for the first half of this year. Okay? How do you use this energy? Whatever is murky or confusing. The other thing is, I've said to you, and this is really true this time around of Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Pisces is a sign, it's a water sign, it's an emotional sign. It is not a nurturing, protective water sign like Cancer. It is not a self-protective, purging, combative sign like Scorpio. It is a releasing, purging, resolving, letting go sign. It is a sign that is imbued with understanding, wisdom, compassion, and forgiveness, and processing. This Mercury retrograde in Pisces is going to bring up things, I think, for many people, and is already bringing up things for many people that you did not think that were on the menu for processing. But they will come up. You will find yourself surprised and thinking about things that you have probably wanted to release or wanted to process but have not yet been able to. And there's a murkiness to wherever Capricorn is and whatever else is happening, but there are going to be other things, dreams, music, spacing out, things coming up from within you, bubbling up that need to be and the processing will come, strangely enough, with Mercury retrograde. If you're dealing with processing past things, clarity can be brought to past things in an investigative way. Just remember, with this new moon and with Mercury retrograde, till the middle of March or after the middle of March, till March the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, look at the fine print. Be aware and be clear that decisions that are being made between February the 17th and March the 10th, but give it a few more days, March the 13th, March the 14th, may not stick, may need to be revised, may not be completely clear. So be careful, be open to presenting ideas, being in discussion mode, being in investigation mode, and knowing that things will collapse into place as March rolls on in the second half of March. So impatience is not your friend. Not only is impatience not your friend, attention to detail. And as I said, be very, very, and very careful of people who are ready to seal the deal on something. There's more discussion to be had. There's more investigation that needs to occur. There's more clarity that needs to be sought. Anything that is previous or past that is somewhat emotional, that is related to those dates, 2015, 2016, last March or April, or even, I have to say, again, related to the sign of Capricorn and the eclipses last year. January the 5th of 2019, the week before, week after. March the 5th. May the 16th, July the 16th of last year. Capricorn, where Capricorn sits in your chart, things related to the sign of Capricorn may also come up for processing. This new moon, this is going to be a lengthy, there's a lot to say about this new moon. This new moon is definitely in harmonious conversation with the nodes, the North Node especially, where we're supposed to go, the eclipses, where change is coming, where it is that our life is moving us towards. Harmonious or inharmonious aspects to the North Node are always disruptive and are always challenging because they are disruptive. So as I said, even if it's a welcome change, it's going to come with stuff that has to be figured out. Most importantly, we've got the North Node in Cancer, making a harmonious aspect with this new moon in Pisces, and we have the South Node in Capricorn, the point of release, the eclipse point of release, where something needs to be released. And we have the planet Mars, the male action-oriented drive planet, conjunct with the South Node, merging with the South Node on the day of the new moon, 13, 14 hours after the new moon. You can't ignore, so the conversation, this is a new moon that is going to, something needs to be released in order for you to move forward. And this new moon is longed for insofar as it might give you a certain amount of energy and initiative and impetus to start to investigate certain things. Just remember, more to follow in the middle of March into April, more to follow in May and June. But we need this first domino to drop, and we need us to enter the fray of starting the process of releasing something. Don't be too quick to jump to a conclusion about what it is that needs to be released. You may already have the answer, and you may feel that the universe is telling you. Trust that, listen to that, but don't collapse it into place until the middle of March. It could be a physical thing, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be something tangible, or it could be an attachment to how things or people should be. It could be an attachment to who you think you are. It could be an attachment to identity. If you have a Capricorn ascendant, it might have something to do with your sense of self and how you define yourself, and something there needs to be released. So it could be a relationship, it could be marriage, it could be contracts, it could be something health related, or it could just be that there's something, some characteristic that needs to be released in order for you to grow, in order for you to be a better partner. For example, if this is happening in the 6th house of health, yes, it could come with a health crisis, but it could also mean that it is certain patterns in terms of diet and exercise need to be released. Attachments to certain things that we have mastered, that are strength, that have given us a certain amount of confidence and identity, but are no longer serving us and are holding us back from where we need to go. And if we do not cooperate with the process of letting go, they will be wrested away from us. That's just the way life works and spirit works, and these eclipse points work. But at this point in time, be in a space of investigation, start to ask the questions, enter, and just be prepared with Mercury retrograde. Everyone is just like, what's going on? I thought we were doing that, I think. And then there's the whole other smorgasbord of emotional stuff coming up out of nowhere, waiting to be processed with a sense of clarity and drive. Fascinating new moon. Fascinating new moon. Fascinating new moon. Even if it is not forward-looking, in a certain sense it is, because the question is, if this forward-looking, let's take the analogy, you're getting on a plane and a destination has been given to you in January and part of February, and now it's a question of knowing what you need to pack. But there's something here of not only knowing what you need to pack, but what baggage you don't need to carry with you moving forward. That's it. That's it. That's it. And right now we're in the place of really identifying that baggage. Some of it is already identified and coming up in the surprising emotional things that are coming up that have to be dealt with and processed, but they will come with clarity. You can't achieve release and forgiveness without understanding what happened. So that's helpful, as much as it might be surprising and painful, but it's part of the process. So that is baggage you don't have to take with you. But the other question is, when it comes to something more tangible like a relationship or a job, things are murky right now. You may think that someone is trying to replace you. You may think that things are in the works, and they might be. The universe may be saying, I'm giving you a heads up. By May the 4th or by July the 4th, you will be in a different place. Or the universe may be saying something here needs to be shifted. Or the universe may be saying, if you want to be where you are, here are certain things you need to release and work on with regard to your own sense of whatever it is that you attach to. Sorry, this is a general video, so I'm trying to give as much here that you can see that applies with the sleuthing that we do in these kind of general videos. Let me see what I had. Decisions I said will not stick, read the fine print, things not getting resolved or getting clear till Mercury goes direct, Mercury dipping back into Aquarius. Next new moon is on March the 24th. So this new moon inaugurates a cycle of events that is going to gain momentum for the next 2 weeks, but then it's going to get wrapped up by March the 24th. But as I've said, we're going into June with Pisces related energy and activity. We're going to find ourselves less indecisive than we were 24 hours ago or even 12 hours ago. Gradually the energy will return and we will jump into the fray to start investigating. Just don't be too hasty. In some cases, you won't have a choice because the eclipse is just going to bring something. February 25th, the week before, week after, is going to bring something which is like, this is eclipsed out of your life. And then there's a certain amount of processing that you're going to have to do around that. Past things being settled. Some of the things we're tackling are mundane and organizational, and some of the things are bigger. So wherever the sign of Pisces is in your chart, wherever the sign of Capricorn is in your chart, it doesn't have to point to just one thing that we're working on. There is one thing that is bigger, that is eclipsy. And then there are other things that might also sit in that part of the chart. So if we're looking at these eclipses, if we're looking at Mercury retrograde in Pisces in the part of the chart that has to do with contracts and relationships, there may be a bigger thing being worked out from a marriage perspective, but maybe other contracts that need to be revised, professional contracts, or with a client, or with a professional relationship, or a professional obligation that needs to be finished up. So it could be a combination of the mundane, and this analogy of getting on a plane and figuring out what to pack is useful because it might be that January and February has given you a sense of a certain journey, and that journey maybe seems smaller, but it might be indicative of a bigger set of journeys that is going to be occurring. Second half of 2020, we're being pushed into a different set of seas. And it's going to be welcome by that time. I think we want that. I think we want that. And I think I'm done. Happy New Moon. As I said, it is a longed for set of... We need to jump in the fray and we need to start to sort things out. Just be patient with the process, please. And just remember, be prepared that some of this is you trying to sort out the murkiness, and some of this energy has to do with the universe or God or spirit putting things in front of you that are either sudden and disruptive, or things that were buried and emotional and that were plaguing you but you couldn't find resolution on. And the seeking resolution on those things might be painful, but the clarification will be helpful so that you can then put that behind you and move forward. Think about the baggage analogy. January and the first week of February brought you things that may give you a sense of where it is that you're headed, and you may find yourself very much back on that journey by the middle of March or the last weeks of March and April and into early May. But right now it's a question of knowing what to pack and what to leave behind, both on a more mundane level and even on a larger level. To some extent, we're preparing for what it is that's going to happen in April and May. And to some extent, we're preparing for what it is that's going to get kick-started in the middle of 2020 and take us into 2022. Now I'm satisfied with this video. All right, if you liked it, found this useful, feel free to share it, feel free to like it, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon to be notified whenever I do another video, feel free to leave a comment. My email address is going to be in the description box, so you're welcome to contact me if you're interested in personal readings and rates around that, or want me to make an easy to use version of your chart or something along those lines. I will leave it at that. Over and out. Thanks.